Hey friends, Rob here. Today I'm going to be talking about using the OBSBOT Tail Air, what a name, these tiny powerful cameras in a live band recording on stage, Whiskey River Band at Eagle's Nest in Chesapeake. I've got an awesome video for you today. We're going to go through all that stuff. Before we jump into it, if you want to know things about NDI, how they work together, the microphones, how we get sound into them, what happens when the lights go out, if you want to know all those things, stick around because that's what we're talking about today. Spoiler alert, they did great, but it's not all 100%. There are a couple things you got to know before you jump into it, so that's what we're talking about now. Before we jump into any of this, I want you to know that these were sent to me for review by OBSBOT, and my contact over there, originally I turned her down, and the reason was quite simple. I don't like these types of cameras usually. I ended up liking these quite a bit, but more importantly, I turned her down because I don't usually have a lot of nice things to say about cameras like this, and my grandmother always taught me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So it kind of keeps me out of trouble. They also wanted me to submit to them the review beforehand so that they could see or give me an idea of what kind of things they wanted to talk about. I said, no, that's not the type of review that I do. Guys, I keep it 100% honest with you guys. I have not been paid for any review ever. Sometimes I get products to review, and the ones that stick around and make it on my channel, you know, the ones that I like to use. So in that respect, the only thing I agreed to do was make a video and show how I use the product in the video, which is exactly what I would do anyways. And you're about to hear all the good and the bad. So OBSBOT, Zoe, we're jumping into it now. There's not really much bad, but let's get it out up front. If you're going to use these cameras with sound at a band setting, live, loud sound, they're not capable of recording it. You're going to just overload the microphones. You need to plug in an external microphone. Now, did I know this ahead of time? Of course I did. Look at them. They've got a couple of MIMS microphones on there and everything else, but I wanted to use them completely stock, just like you might use them, so that you could see what I would see and how they might interact. The second thing, I did use them over NDI. This is great. No wires for the band. I put them up in rafters and everything else. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the NDI connection to my YoloBox was not one that was good for streaming. However, it was one that was good for showing me the 3 different images. So the signal that was streaming to YoloBox, it was choppy, man. It was like 10 to 12 frames per second. You know streaming would be no good. Couple that with the sound overmodulating the microphones at a loud band, constantly over 115 decibels, the mics just couldn't handle it. So, that being the case, why in the world would I even talk about using them? The image has to be absolutely excellent, right? And yes, it was with one caveat. I would not have used them on auto for me, but I did for you so that you could see the worst case scenario on auto. These little cameras right here have a complete software suite built into them that allow you to do internal recording and change everything about your exposure. So the photographer and videographer in me wanted to say, yes, tweak it. But the realist in me wanted to say, no, let's see what it does on auto. And it did really great. There are some times that you can see the sensor get saturated when lasers pass across it or when they pass across the singer or performer's skin. That can cause some strange hot spots and highlights, as you've seen. However, that's because it was in auto mode. If you go ahead and set your exposure a little bit lower in the first place, rather than allowing the camera to set the exposure, you're going to have a great time. Now, those are the 3 things to consider. This is why I have just such a high opinion of them.
Well, speaking of non-sad bass, we're going to bring Madison up here to sing a couple. Madison, come on up. Oh, there you are.
Surprise!
Ta-da, everyone. This is Madison, y'all.
Hi, guys.
Check out that fine leather jacket.
Yeah. I told you, me and Jacob, we're going to be twinsies tonight.
Wait, that was Jacob's, but it shrunk.
Right.
Same with my shoes. We're both wearing Docs.
Yeah.
We all aspire to be like
he also
Jacob.
has leopard shoelaces on, and I wore my, leopard skirt, so.
The image quality is excellent. Look how small these are. They literally fit in your hand, right? Because they're small, they can go pretty much anywhere. And when I was working with the band Whiskey River, the number one thing they were concerned with was my cameras getting in their way. And I said, no problem. They've got 1/4-20 hooks on them. So we'll just put them on a C-clamp in the rafters. What do you say? You know what they said? Love it. Love it. So that's what we did. As you can see in the video that I'm rolling right now, I just set up these cameras in several different places and we put them on the rafters. Now the C-clamps allowed me to get them exactly where I wanted them to be, and then I was able to set them on different camera angles. You see, don't forget that not only are these pan tilt zoom cameras that have the ability to be battery powered, plugged up in the rafter on a C-clamp out of the way, not only do we have full auto controls and manual controls for both video as well as audio, but not only can we flip the image over horizontally and adjust its white balance and all that other stuff, but we can also set the different predetermined locations for 1, 2, and 3 positions where these things go. So I can put all my cameras to point at the same places at the same time. Think about that as a live show. That's awesome. So what did I do? I made it so that position 1 pointed at one person, generally the lead guitarist, who was on stage left. Position 2 pointed to the lead singer in center. Position 3 pointed over to the bassist. Okay, 1, 2, 3, that was stage right. Now, we've got a drummer that's going to be included here too. So on camera 3 that I want to put over the drummer, I made sure that position 1 pointed to him, position 2 pointed to the stage, and position 3 pointed to what I call the solo or hero position for him whenever I was on that camera. Currently, there's no way to view all 3 camera angles at once on an OBSBOT native piece of software, like their own thing. They have created this handle, which looks like a Joy-Con controller for a Nintendo Switch, that will at some point in time, very likely, although they have not confirmed or denied this, I'm speculating, connect to a larger tablet that will allow you to see all of your cameras at one time. But as it is right now, there's only one way to see what cameras are doing, and that's to open your phone or open your iPad, open the OBSBOT app, and see what the camera is seeing by connecting to each camera individually. That does not work in a live stream setting. Enter YoloBox. YoloBox came in, and using NDI, which means Network Device Interconnect, there was no wires required to connect the output of these OBSBOTs to YoloBox for live streaming. However, there are some requirements for NDI to work well. And in this case, NDI didn't work well and streaming didn't work well because my internet signal in the host venue was low. And it does not work to connect all the stuff with NDI over cellular, so I couldn't use my Wi-Fi hotspot. So even bonding didn't help because you lose some NDI functionality in YoloBox when you're trying to connect through a Wi-Fi hotspot on the cellular phone. So I ran into some issues. Luckily, I wasn't attempting to live stream in the first place, and what I was attempting to do was see how well these would connect and work with YoloBox. Spoiler alert, you already know the frame rate, it didn't work very well. But do you know what YoloBox did allow me to do? It allowed me to see every single one of my camera angles at one time, something I can't do from my phone. So it put them all right here, which meant while I was switching the positions, position 1 through 3 on each of the 3 cameras, 9 different shots, I was able to look at those 3 shots and see where they were at the time of recording. It was really very, very helpful. Now, I did record internal to YoloBox so that you could see what the NDI looked like, but that's going to come in another video because I want to talk about NDI specific to YoloBox. However, in this instance, the YoloBox Ultra is the only device that currently supports NDI, and NDI would not have been stream ready with these cameras because the frame rate was too low, as well as the audio being distorted. Audio is an easy fix, and so is the recording, right? We can't stream, but each one of these records internal 4K at 30 frames a second up to 100 megabits per second. Guess what, my friends? I'm golden, which is exactly what I did. So all of the cameras were recording for 3 hours straight, 3 one-hour sets on the entire time, and I had them plugged in on the rafters in the C-clamps ever since 8 o'clock that night, and we were gone for a little over 5 hours, 6 hours they were on. So great job there, no problems, stayed charged, everything worked. One of the things that I enjoyed was even without YoloBox, if you are organized with what your situation and setup is going to be, such as we know that you're going to have this particular position 1 points to this person, position 2 points to that person, like we talked about earlier. It's very simple to just press record, all of them begin recording, and then change your angles on each one as you see fit. Later in post-production, you edit those all together, normally by syncing your audio. Which leads us to a problem. How do we sync the stuff now that we got the audio and video recorded, but the audio was all smushed? Well, luckily with the band, it's pretty simple. There are key moments at the beginning of each set, and at that point in time, you can also looking for the guy that does a clap, usually me. But then I'd have to be in a position for all of the cameras to see a clap. That clap would be a visual representation of the start of the recording, even though the audio wasn't picked up. I did not do that here because it wasn't necessary, because generally, when the band starts playing a song, it's very easy to sync that up between each recording. So you sync one song and it syncs for the rest of the hour. And that's what we've done. But as you've been looking, you may have listened and heard there actually is audio. How do we get audio? I just told you that it was not recorded properly. Well, it wasn't on OBSBOT because I didn't plug anything into OBSBOT. But I did record 32-bit audio as well as direct outs from the soundboard and ambient and 3 or 4 different places. And because I did that, I was able to put that together the same way that I just talked with you through painstaking process. No, it's not painstaking. It's just a pain in the butt. You just have to sync your audio manually since you don't have any normal cues. I was using another camera that allows me to sync audio as well because it picked up audio just fine, and that was the Panasonic S5. I was shooting video and photo with the S5. Now, final thing that I want to talk about is what this means. Like, why was this important? Some of you out there are listening to this, and thank you for making it this far. We're in this discussion now. Some of you out there are thinking to yourself, well, yeah, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced, Rob. What would make me want to use these? Well, remember, I used this in the worst case scenario, the one where you just got the device, took it out of the box, and went to record something. And everything you've seen so far is actually a little bit different than what I've told you, because when you saw video, it looked great. When you heard audio, it sounded great. When you saw how it was working with YoloBox, even though the NDI wasn't doing well, it still worked great. So the point that I'm saying is, when you know what you're doing through experience after trial and error, you can even take the bad stuff that you get, the stuff that would be just the average user, and turn it into something worthwhile. And that's what we've done here. Because each one of the devices captures excellent video, because you have the capability to plug in audio, which I knew ahead of time. I could have simply plugged in any one of my other microphones into the mic jack and gotten excellent audio just by sending it to it wirelessly. I could have very easily recorded it to YoloBox, but I didn't. I just recorded it all to my Tascam Porta Capture X8, which is how I got it. So syncing those things together isn't a big deal. The number one thing that people couldn't believe the band when I showed them the videos that they're seeing here was they were amazed how awesome the imagery looked. They've never been recorded like this. Think about that. Think about what that does for you. In a situation where you're at 115 plus decibels, with lights, with lasers, with strobes, with blackouts, with a crowd, with just chaos going on in the middle of a rock and roll band, these things produced excellent results. Imagine what they will do for your next wedding, your next group function, corporate civic event, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. They will do you a great job. And the thing that made it wild, although I turned it off because it would have been going on crazy in the crowd, the thing that the band loved the most when I was showing off and demoing the product was the AI feature. When I showed the leader of the band, Damien, the front man, all he had to do was wave like that. Hey, what's up? And then the camera would start following him. Do you know what that does to a guitar solo? Do you know what it does for them? The camera just jumps on them. But because of so many people in the crowd, you have to turn AI features off when there's that many people there, or your cameras will go everywhere. Ask me how I know. Guys, I absolutely love these little cameras. I think the image is excellent. I think they did a wonderful job, and I can't wait to show you more. These have made it into my wedding setup, dude. They're just a part of it now. It's just the way that it is. I don't talk about products that I don't like or I've had bad experiences with. My grandmother always told me if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So I don't talk about Mevo Start, and I don't talk about Nearstream. I'm sorry. I have had conversations with those companies or used those products in different ways. I'm not going to get into it. I talk about things that work, and I share with you the good and the bad of the product as it's going on. And these guys are just getting started. I truly think they're worth your time. And because of that, if you have any questions, subscribe, and I will answer them down below. It might take me a couple of days to get to them, but I will. If you like this video and you found it helpful, don't forget to use the Amazon links down below. Support me with a super thanks. It's right there, guys. I would love a cup of coffee or a case of beer. Go ahead, send one over my way. And remember, keep it real, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye for now.